Hi, it's John at C Nation, and you're listening to the Kush Journals. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for an up-close and personal look at cannabis industry news and developments, the hottest stories of the day, legislative movement from around the country, and some good times each Friday as Zen, Julie, and I tackle fun and entertaining content from inside the cannabis culture. Hey, it's John at C Nation, and it is High Times Friday. Say hi, Zen.
Hi, Zen.
Say hi, Julie.
Hello.
Awesome. And that wasn't as clever as hers. Whatever. Anyway, we got something awesome lined up today, and I can't even begin to tell you, actually, how awesome this podcast is going to be. So, High Times Friday, of course, we're looking at content, compelling content, mind you, from High Times Magazine, etc. And we found a beauty published on January 18th, so super fresh. And written by Ab Hanna. Thank you very much for this. 7 ways to blaze without a pipe or papers. And as soon as I saw this headline, I didn't even have to start reading. I started rattling off some of those different ways. Sure enough, there they were. Been around cannabis long enough. And,
he started a conversation with me and Julie, and we're like, we're in.
Yeah, it was no arm twisting this time.
Yeah.
Video when there is. Just kidding. So we really want to get into this. We're in an upbeat mood, and it's because this is such exciting material, and it's going to be fun. And we do have stories, and we have things to say about these different methods. So I'm going to read the intro here, and then we will just we'll touch on each of these 7 in order that they were presented. As usual, we won't read every word of this. We have enough to contribute, and we're not trying to reread High Times. We'll link you directly to this on the podcast page, and you can track down this article if you'd like to enjoy it. We encourage you to do so. Ever find yourself with weed, but no way to smoke it? Maybe you broke your pipe last week, and you're out of papers. If you're not mobile or it's too late at night, you might not be able to get any place that sells either one. Not to worry. There are still several ways to blaze without a pipe or papers. The following methods can be done at home without ever having to step outside or make a purchase. And that's the best part about all of this. So, without any further stalling for time, number 1. Gravity bong. So here's the idea. Golly, that's a squeaky chair. Here's the idea behind a gravity bong, and it works the way every other method of inhaling cannabis works, on suction. But rather than your lungs and your mouth, etc., providing that suction, you're going to use some extra materials. So you need to start with one container, some type of bucket. You're going to be putting water in there, and you're going to be putting a second plastic bucket, etc. We always use bottles. I'm going to describe the exact bottle. Method exactly. We roughly used like a 5-gallon bucket, filled it as full as we wanted to with water. We got a 2-liter soda bottle, and cut the bottom off of it so that it was, you had the narrow piece on the top, and you took the cap off, and the bottom was wide open, and you would force that down into the water so that it created an air bubble
with
at
just
the top
the bowl
of that.
Above the water.
Yeah, with the bowl just above the water. So we'd bore in near the top of that, on the side, and put a little stem or something in there. You don't have to do that. You can literally do it in the cap too, but you have to get it out of the way if you do that. So the best thing is to just bore a little hole in the side of that, right near the very top, where you're going to put a stem and bowl in there, or at least a bowl. And as you light that, as you put your flame to the bowl, you start pulling up, gently on that 2-liter bottle, and it creates a suction. You will see the cannabis in the bowl light up red because it's being drawn on. You will see your 2-liter bottle fill with smoke. Don't pull it all the way out of the water, or guess what happens?
You lose the smoke.
You lose the smoke. Poof, gone, and you're doing it again. So yeah, leave yourself a few inches on the bottom of that. But all of a sudden, you've got this 2-liter bottle that's just packed with smoke. Take the cap off there, take the thumb off there, whatever you did to close the top of that while you were creating that suction. And man, before you know it, you will be super polluted.
Usually one hit for me on that just knocks me. I was like,
now, if you want to go on a grand scale, be like Haley 420 on YouTube. She did one using a 5-gallon water bottle in her swimming pool.
Yeah, for reals. In a bikini. It
was one of the awesomest gravity bong videos.
She tried to swim under it.
It was. If it's Gravity Bong 101 at a level that can't even... Check it out. Haley 420 on a lot of mediums. YouTube for sure. It's one of the funniest videos. One of the best by far Gravity Bong videos we've ever seen. So let's move on to number 2 here. This is pretty old school. Hot knife.
I can explain that one for you. I've seen a couple people do it.
Awesome.
Where you can place 2 knives, normally in a hot fire pit, on the stove, somewhere with a huge flame. And then you just get those really red hot. And then you put some weed in between it. You put your knives together and you start getting that smoke. You can start inhaling that smoke.
So out near the end, a couple of inches of the edge of the knife, and
so you don't want to get the whole knife hot because then you can't grab it.
Can't grab it. Fair enough.
Unless you have little mittens.
These are my smoking mittens
with cannabis leaves on them. That'd be bomb. So a couple of inches on the end of the knife.
Yeah. Make sure it's getting red hot though, so it's hot enough to burn it because you don't want to just waste.
Yeah, and please be very careful not to burn your house down.
Yes.
And then, so here I am with a couple of hot knives. Right.
Then you put the weed on top of the hot knives, and you put the 2 hot knives together. Yeah, put them in between it.
So an actual flower? I mean, a nugget?
Yeah, you could put. Yeah, that's the way I've only seen it is.
I
you
guess
put nuts.
if it's red hot, well, and if it's just like Frosty with trichomes, well, you'd be smash faced. That'd be a dab hit today, roughly. Yeah. So that's been my experience with the hot knife. Is 2 of them.
Yep.
The last time I did this, and it's been quite a while. The only thing that we ever had that wasn't actual flour was hash, and that's how we frequently smoked hash. Was between 2 hot knives, just as you described. Now it looks like it's maybe evolved a little bit, and it's only 1 knife now.
Yeah, they can start doing CBD oils and more like other oils too. They can just drop it on the one.
Other concentrates.
Concentrates.
Yeah, that makes sense. So either on my little dabber, what are those called? That you,
banger.
Not the banger. The banger's the tool that you pick up that thing that you pick your dab up out of the. I don't know what it's called.
Some metals on the poker.
Yeah, you could use that. You could, a lot of this stuff comes in syringes anymore, and it's really easy.
You can just drop it on the syringe.
So that makes sense. You couldn't 2-knife that if you had something like that in your hand. So that's awesome, and that's really, I mean, this stuff today, any of these oils, that's all it really is looking for is a hot surface, and reasonably hot. It'd be interesting to know.
As long as you catch the escaping smoke, then yeah.
Yeah, and that's generally what's encouraged is doming these, right?
Yep.
What is doming for anybody that just is drawing a blank here? It is putting something over that smoke. Go back to the gravity
bong. Like a towel or a newspaper.
Not like that. Like a bucket, like a glass jar, like anything that will catch that smoke.
Oh, okay, so you can still use it.
Rather than let it escape. So as soon as you drop that on the hot knife, so one way people used to smoke hash was they'd put a chunk on the end of a needle or something, and then they'd put that needle in anything that would stand it upright, a big eraser, anything that would really just hold it upright. They'd light it, it stays lit, burning like a charcoal, and they'd put a glass over it. And the glass would just fill up with smoke, and you'd tip the edge of it, and it captured all the smoke. So that's roughly what doming is. So this is a really, really inefficient way in terms of how much smoke might I get. And doming it will really help capture the most of that. So let's move on to number 3, edibles. All right, Zen. Tell us all about edibles.
Well, if you are on a timetable or if you want to get high soon, well, edibles probably isn't your way to go. So you've got to have butter ready, you've got to have a recipe, you've got to bake it, you've got to eat it and wait for it to affect you. So probably not your best bet.
But now, in 3 minutes, depending on where I live, I can be the dispensary and back with an edible, right? I mean, I can just be...
Well, yeah, but this is like if you're not leaving your house.
That's true. This was advertised as we don't need to leave the house. So you're right. You could make edibles.
This is the most inefficient way, it's going to take the longest.
It may take the longest, but it's the bestest.
Yep.
There's nothing that
I
compares.
do love edibles.
There's nothing that compares with an edible. Learn how to make them. Learn how to buy them. It don't matter. Eat them. They are good for you. Number 4. Smoke the whole nug. Well, duh, right?
Yeah, isn't
That's
that
what
the
we're
point?
going to do. We're going to grab a nug and we're going to smoke the whole nug.
I'm sorry to say, I've never heard of that
Yeah,
in my entire life.
This ain't nothing that you're going to really believe is a true way, but I've done it. And if you think about it, it's totally logical. So here you are, you got that beautiful frosty nug. Just got it from the dispensary, top shelf gram, cost you $20. You get home and you're a newbie and you got nothing. Nothing. Not a rolling paper, not a set of scriptures anywhere that come with their own rolling paper for some reason.
Shame.
Nothing.
Shame.
All right, I'm being told I'm going to hell. I don't really care. See y'all there. But here's the deal. So you got a nug, you got a little piece of, a little piece of lumber on the bottom of it. What is that? The stem from the plant. Well, guess what? Grab a hold of that stem. I don't know. Put it in your roach clip or just between your fingernails or whatever. Grab your lighter and light that nug.
You might want to put a dome on it.
You might want to dome it, but that's literally it. Set that nug on fire.
Wow.
All those frosty trichomes all that.
That seems too simple.
It is
Like there's no
roughly-
way. There's you just have
yeah,
it. Like,
and you just tell people, no, I've got an invisible bong. And they'll be so stoned, someone will believe you. Promise. Someone will believe you.
I would
that
have to
your bong
say
is
that
invisible.
you telling me about this. I've seen this YouTube video a couple months ago.
Oh, no.
Of this person, which I just showed you guys today.
Right.
Yeah.
Person shoving a nug right up their nose and just lighting it. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
There's that way too. Like, so if you don't have a huge nug, you just have a little bowl. I guess you could just stuff it up your nose and just light it on
Yeah.
fire.
Shove it up your nose and light it.
I don't really know the name of that video, but I guess if you'd say
I just
cannabis
put-
nugget nostril.
The only way that I looked it up on YouTube just now is I put weed in nose. That's it. Weed in nose. And the 2 first videos pop up and just people put it in their nose and lighting it on fire.
So for real, this is a real thing, and I would dome it for sure. You're going to find it a little frustrating because cannabis typically stays lit through the suction, through the draw,
Yeah.
drawing oxygen through that flame and making that flame really combust through your nuggets. So this is a little more challenging, but guess what? It'll work. Or if you just don't feel like being that silly, I don't know. Drop it in a little olive oil for a few minutes and gulp it all down, and you'll.
How about look for an apple or a carrot?
Word, I think we're getting there. So, what is number 5? Oh, organic materials.
Like an apple or a carrot.
Tell us how we'd use an apple or a carrot for something other than just I ain't eating it, Mom.
Well, I had actually never heard about using a carrot before for it, but using an apple, I can totally explain it.
Okay.
Where the stem is, hollow out a little bit, about the size of a bowl. Make sure that there's poke a pencil or something all the way through from the side to the core. So there's an air hole. That's your mouth hole. Light the green, suck on the side. There's your pipe.
And then after you get done smoking that bowl, just eat that apple.
Yep. And I guess the carrot would be much the same, hollow out part of it and hollow out part of it for a bowl. And
So
yeah.
the carrot's going to work a different way. They're going to call that roughly, I don't know, steamers or something like that. Anyway,
Is that more like a chillum then?
Yeah, like a chillum. So, but typically with a joint.
Oh.
So, but you can just put the raw cannabis in there. But You hollow it out all the way through, but not too wide. The fatter the carrot, the better, obviously. And and just hey, this is a family show.
Right.
This is a family show. We hardly ever swear, and the worst we've ever done is talk about a dildo pipe. That's a fact. So, anyway, carrots, right? So we're hollowing out a carrot, and granted, the bigger around the carrot, the better this is going to work, because you need to get anything that you could really get all the way through it from one end to the other, right down the middle of that diameter of that carrot. A drill bit, a pen, a screwdriver, anything that's just going to and hollow all that out. And now you've got to chill them. If you didn't want to go all the way, as an example, all the way through that, you could stop an inch or so from either end, puncture a hole in the top, and a lot like the apples. So they typically used them as, more like a chillum. But I'll tell you what, roughly anything that's pretty firm, like an apple, you could probably even use an onion if you. Yeah, fair enough.
Yes, that's true.
It's going to have some zany flavors, but man, stoners be doing some shit sometimes. Yeah. Right? So, anyway, apples, carrots, these things work, and we've all done them. Yep. I'm going to tell you, apples give you pretty good flavor on your cannabis, too. Yeah. They're really nice. They keep the cannabis moist for a minute. It's really actually a pretty good approach.
Even if you've got a pipe, you should try this.
Yeah, just for fun. Yeah. No question about it. No question about it. Number 6, and this one's super duper logical. Hollow out a cigarette.
Yeah, I can put my 2 cents in this one. I'm a smoker, so I can't roll joints. So what I will do is sometimes I'm like, you know what, I kind of want a joint. Have those moments, I want one. So I'll sit there and I'll roll out my tobacco out of my cigarette and then just take, really grounded up weed.
They roll out pretty easily. Yeah. Once you get them going, they seem to.
Yeah, it just drops down. Use a toothpick, pat it down. Then there you go. You gotta.
So what, like a blunt or a pre-roll or something? You kind of tamp your reefer down in there.
Yep.
So what about the filter?
Well, I cut some of mine half off. I don't keep the full filter on, but sometimes I'll cut it half off, or I'll just take the filter completely off and pinch the end of it. There you go. Pretty much a joint. So
I wonder. I've done that method too, and as I can recall, we always just got rid of the filter. We couldn't see any reason, and we probably convinced ourselves that
I think the only reason to leave the filter is if we were sharing it and we didn't want a soggy, end.
And that's how pre-rolls and even any home rolls anymore go that way,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, with that paper filter
tip on the
which
end.
Is great.
It is. I gotta say, as far as joint technology goes and the advancements made, it's got to be from NASA. It's so
Yep, a little folded piece of like cardboard.
It's the simplest, dumbest thing that someone who isn't me is making crazy money on, I'm sure. But yeah, just that little rolled up paper in the end that kind of adds support, adds some structure,
and it makes it not soggy.
And which is a big plus. And I don't recall lately on any pre-rolls or any method that has that little filter end on that now of actually inhaling any cannabis.
Nope.
I think it stops it.
No Scooby snacks.
No Scooby snacks. You're not wasting any.
I just thought about that as we were talking here, and so not that I ever minded, but it is one of those little annoyances of old school joints. So man, NASA, thank you for little paper joint filters. That is how those astronauts get through that horror of space, no doubt. Well, you don't want to get little in your equipment and your gear up there. You might be stuck forever floating around in 2 different ways, right? Anyway, let's get to number 7 here, because this is pretty crazy, and it actually opens up the whole universe of ways that you can ingest cannabis if you don't have a traditional tool. And this is it, number 7, called a bottle pipe. It is roughly everything we've all just talked about here wrapped up into one thing. So think about a plastic soda or water bottle today with a little size to it. Let's say a liter, a 24 ounce type. I'm going to say a 2 liter is going to be too big.
Yeah.
And a 1 liter might just be a touch small. One of these 20 24-ounce soda bottles. Anyway, punch a hole in the side of it near the bottom. That's going to be your carburetor. That's going to be your straight mouthpiece there. You can punch a carb anywhere you want on that. In the top of that, where the cap would be screwed onto, that is where your bowl is going to be. Now, typically, it is required a third item here to make this complete, and that's some foil. Some aluminum foil, tin foil back in the day. You're basically going to, put that around the drink opening of a soda bottle and push it down in there. You're creating a bowl.
Because that's your bowl.
Yeah, the opening of that bottle is the structure of your bowl, and the foil's going to obviously allow you to puncture that a little bit so smoke can get through, and it's going to hold the cannabis. So that is a legit method, but who can't find a soda can?
Exactly.
Anywhere?
Sometimes I don't have foil.
It alleviates a whole
Yeah,
step.
I had never heard of using a bottle before today. I'd always thought, if I can't find something to smoke out of, hey, I drink soda all the time. There's a can right there.
Yeah. Granted, you're still going, with a soda can, you are going to have to find something to puncture that reasonably so to, to set your cannabis on there and allow the smoke to come through. But it's not too hard to puncture, aluminum
Use
cans
an earring.
these days. There are a lot of things, absolutely. And that's a good call.
Safety pin.
That's a good call. All those things will really work. But what this item on this list, number 7 bottle pipe, it just goes to show you that really all you need to do to be able to inhale some combusted cannabis is to provide a method for the smoke to get into your mouth. And
even if it's just as easy as just lighting the material.
Yeah, it's super simple. I mean, these bottle pipes, really, that's just a piece of plastic that's kind of just offering support. And if you really think about it, this is the essence of doming your smoke. Without that on there, if you just had that foil on the end of it and you're trying to you might as well just use the whole nug instead. It'll just be a whole lot easier. As I was thinking about this one right here, as I read through this earlier today and was thinking about this topic, I actually can remember the very first pipe or smoking vessel or whatever that I had seen in my life, that I had held, that I had, really sucked through. And it's so funny, man. 7th grade, how sad is that? 7th grade, in the stairwell from the first floor to the second floor, the back door of the band room in junior high. My friend Sean, rest in peace, Sean, buddy. He had this little piece of rubber hose that had a little, it must be a socket or something. And it had a screen that I know he stole from the kitchen sink, because that's where we all got our screens from back in the day. And I can tell you, I had no familiarity whatsoever with marijuana in that moment, none whatsoever. My entire 13 years leading up to that, and man, my heart was racing. I don't know it was the craziest, zaniest thing, and he wanted me to, hey, see how good this tastes. There was no reefer. It had just been used. I'm sure he grabbed it from his older brothers, who I knew real well too. So, but he was sure proud of himself that he had that. And that was literally my very first introduction to cannabis, smoking on that little rubber hose, that little socket with a kitchen faucet screen in it that had no reefer, but it had plenty of reefer in it. And that was my first real taste of, and I was scared to death. I ain't even fooling.
Just goes to show that you can make it out of anything.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm looking at your water mug right there, and I'm just thinking that would even be a perfect one.
Oh, indeed. Plus, it's big.
Yeah.
So it would, you'd be able to.
I suppose you could make a mini gravity bong out of just like a large mixing bowl, also.
Oh yeah. I mean, you just need to create suction and have a method for basically lighting and holding the cannabis. So, hey, we're going to wrap this up. This has been tons of fun. If you hear the edited version of this, sorry, because the unedited version is hilarious tonight. You will not believe some of the stuff that went on here. But we want to thank High Times for sure. This is their intellectual property. This is their article. This is their content. We've cribbed it for our own purposes. We want to thank them for this content. We want to thank Ab Hanna for writing this. And we'll link you to this on our podcast page. 7 Ways to Blaze Without a Pipe or Papers. There's no reason you can't get high now. Starting right now. Say goodbye, Zen.
Bye.
Say goodbye, Jules.
See ya.
See ya. The Kush Journals podcast is a copyrighted production of the South American Gold Corporation. We appreciate your likes and shares on social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Spotify.